FTI community, welcome to the fourth session of the In Your Studio podcast. I, of course, am your host, Matthew Ryder, Kappa Matt, whatever you want to call me. A lot of people just call me friend, and I'll take that too. And I am joined by the founder of Worden Watch. He is a graduate from the University of Carleton in product design. He creates watches that the watch industry and your wrist is missing. FTI community, I am joined by Tyler Worden. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing so good. The time of recording right now, I just watched a dog for a week. It was my good buddy Steph and Kathy's little dog Leo, and it really put me to the test if my feeling of wanting a dog is equals if I actually can take care of a dog. My answer is yes, but let me tell you, I was not used to like 3 to 4 walks a day. So now I'm back at my place. Everything's good. We're here, but the whole taking care of a dog thing every day, it was a new experience for me.
Well, 3 to 4 walks a day, it sounds like a pampered dog.
Very pampered, but Leo is such a fantastic dog. Not to make it in your studio, Leo, but I've never met a dog where they're so quiet, they're so well trained that I'm like, you know what? You're probably good. We're just gonna go anyways because you're such a fantastic little guy.
Good dog.
But the really cool thing is we got to end the week together at the Animal Boy show. And the Animal Boy show at Jimmy Jazz last Friday was absolutely stellar. The whole night was so good, from playing pool. I didn't know I could play pool to actually, what happened? Got shawarma, went to play pool, saw Animal Boy, met a few people that I've only ever met through Instagram, but that whole night, put a little bow on top. You were rocking the FTI shirt. Everything was great that night.
Mm-hmm. And you're pretty good at pool too.
Man.
For your first time back at it, yeah.
It will never, that will never happen again. That's one of those days I need to put in a bottle, man. It will never happen again.
It's such a nice way to start before a show, is just to shoot some pool, have some laughs, and then head over to Jimmy Jazz for 10 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah, the great thing about Jimmy Jazz free shows, the thing I'm getting used to with Jimmy Jazz is 10 p.m. start times. Because I really didn't realize just how tired I can be the next morning. But the passion that radiates from all the performers that night, the authenticity that radiated from everybody that night resonates with you. Because when I first met you, the first two things that came to my mind was authentic and passionate. Again, first thing that I thought about when we connected in late 2024, you radiate this passionate, determined attitude. And I knew I had to not only get to know you, I also had to introduce you to the FTI community. So before we dive into the world of what you create, let's get into the man behind it all. Introduce us to Tyler Worden.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Tyler Worden. I make watches. So I had started in industrial design. I went to university a little late. When I was 23. Graduated that. Knew that I didn't want to do industrial design at like a firm per se, but I still had that creative mind and I like designing products. And at that same time, I was starting to get interested in watches. And I was like looking around like for like a watch that would be like suitable for, some like a stylish sort of designer. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I just couldn't find one in my price point. So I'm like, okay, what we'll do is I have the skills. I know how to 3D model. I know how to prototype. Let's see if we can't make a prototype of the watch that I want. And then if I want, I can just keep it. And if I want, I can make another one and sell it, and make another one and sell it, and see where that goes. So that's brought me to here.
That beginning, when you said, correct me if I'm wrong, late, like university, late at 23, that honestly like struck my ears up. Like, do you think there is an actual time where it's kind of like considered late, especially when you're pursuing something like product design or industrial design? To me, that seemed like one of those fields where you kind of get a few like real life experiences, then you're like, I'm gonna do something that's like not only unique and something I'm passionate about, but for that to translate into watches, were you not expecting to go that avenue of like actually designing a watch that you could sell to everyone?
Well, yeah, you say like I said it was late because that was it's just the stereotypical. Like I went to university 5 years after graduating high school, right? But the thing about industrial design that you were kind of alluding to is like it's not like a common program. So a lot of people do end up going to it like a while after they've had some life experience. And for me, how I learned about industrial design, I was in Europe. I was in Prague, and a friend of mine told me that his dad did it, and I didn't even know what it meant. Industrial design, like in designing industry, like factories. He's like, no, it's products, like your everyday products, fridges, iPhones, headphones, all sorts of things. And so, yeah, that's where like a lot of people kind of they learn about it late and then they go into it.
Yeah, I agree with that because like I've never heard someone like fresh out of high school like go right for like an industrial design. I really feel like it's exactly what you said, took the words out of my mouth, where you get a few real life experiences and then you kind of explore that field later. Um, when you weren't finding a watch that was A in your price range and B to your style, what were you looking for that you couldn't find? Like with your tagline being creating watches that the watch industry is missing. What were you looking for?
Yeah. So I'll give you like a little bit of insight into the watch industry. When you get your watch made, like when a watch brand gets their watch made, there's a minimum order quantity. So that might be 1,000 watches, like maybe even 500 watches, but not much more, less than that. And so a lot of companies, what they do is they have to create a design that they know will sell because they're making such a large investment with 500 watches, which could cost tens of thousands of dollars. And so what that does to the design is it waters it down to being something that is very palatable and conservative and safe, which in the current era is a lot of vintage inspired watches. And for me, like I'm 31, these watches that are vintage inspired, they're like from the 70s, like they look like they're from the 70s. And that has no nostalgia to me because I grew up in the 90s, 2000s, right? And so we just had all this vintage inspired, very conservative watches out there. And I'm like, I need something that's like of the current time, that's bold, that's like, it's interesting, it's intriguing. It's not something that my dad would wear, right? And so there were a few brands that I like really resonated with, but you wouldn't believe the prices that they were charging. Completely out of my price range,
What was the
especially as a
ballpark? Like, what
student.
was like the common denominator?
6 figures. Those are the ones.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah. Like for anyone interested, like look up Richard Mille, and check out his watches. They're gorgeous, big inspiration of mine, but obviously just not even a consideration, right? So my thinking is like, why does design need to be expensive? Design doesn't have to be expensive. The parts, the materials, the finishing, sure. But the design doesn't have to be. So what if I made a watch that was of the time and current and interesting and new, but I used materials that were in the price range of a reasonably affordable watch?
I agree with that entirely. Like especially that mindset, because how I've always tried to take on my day to day is like, if I can buy it twice, I can afford it. Not to say like I want to buy everything twice, but when it comes to like a T-shirt or like an iPhone, for example, the price it's set really needs to A, give the functionality I'm looking for it for, or B, it just overall has to suit what I'm looking for and who I am. So whenever FTI would like sell like a ticket or like sell like anything at all, I would make sure A, it's affordable, but B, it actually serves its purpose. So kind of trying to make that correlation to the watch world, we've talked about it too, is the Worden watch is going to be my real first day to day watch that I'm going to wear, because the design of it resonates to me. Because just like that funky sweater you're wearing, the closet to the right of me has all these funky sweaters that I know will just complement this watch very well. When you were coming up with like the casing or the shell, what hmm, how did you design that casing and shell to be like a standout from like anywhere in the room?
Wow, I love that question. So I have this like way of thinking is that if someone knows Worden watches and they see one on the street, I want it to be recognizable from 20 feet away. It's like you can't even see my name, you can't even see the heart necessarily on the dial, but I want it to be like very apparent. So for anyone watching on video, I'm going to do I'll show you what I'm talking about using Matt, your watch.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So this is Matt's watch. And what you can see here is that this face is completely a square, and on the inside is a circle, and that's the dial, right? Yeah. And so what happens is when you see this from like far away, and you're just seeing the reflection of the metal, or you're seeing the reflection of the glass, and you're catching either one or the other, which creates either a silhouette or an inverse silhouette of a circle within a square. And that is the calling card of a Worden watch from 20 feet away.
I agree. And I think the red band complements it so well, because red is in that field where it's just a noticeable thing no matter what it is. If you see red on on concrete, you're like, oh, there's red on concrete. So if someone's walking and you see the unique watch face, but you see the red, instantly, oh, I know that that's Worden watch. It's how you mentioned. Like, you don't need to see the heart, you don't need to see the name, you just need to see the design, the shape, and the identity. Exactly right there. You'll go Worden watch. I think
Mm-hmm.
that would really sum that up or put that into the same realm of you being an innovator and a trailblazer. And because, as you mentioned again, you created it because it was the watch that the watch industry was missing. But you also wanted to answer the question, what makes a watch great? You've kind of already touched on it. You did many prototypes, many blueprints on a clear window too, and you also did 3D models. Have you answered the question, what makes a watch great, or are you still in that field where you're like, I love what I'm doing now, but you have like a final product in mind for what you want Worden Watch to look like in a year, 5 years from now?
I think I've answered what makes a watch great, and I've created that. Now it's like, how can I take that and make an even greater watch, an even better watch that is current and of the time, and push the envelope, take it to the next level, be the innovator of the watch industry that the watch industry needs to pull the industry forward into the 21st century. And we had that with like in the 20th century with Gerald Genta making absolutely mind-blowing watches at the time, but the watches have his designs have persisted into what nowadays is considered to be classically designed and beautiful watches. So I'm not saying it's going to be me that does that, but I'm going to be part of the group of young designers, watch designers, that is pushing the envelope, is pushing the watch industry forward.
Yes, you have a fantastic journey ahead of you. I know that, no doubt in my mind. You will accomplish everything you set out to be and want to be, because the authenticity, the passionate, being able to take an idea, literally sketch it on a window, have everything at your table, and just do like precision craftsmanship and just make sure everything has a rhyme and a reason. I kind of want to take this a few steps back, because I know who you are. I've learned a lot about Worden Watch, but for all the listeners, whether they're friends, new people who've learned about you through Creator of the Week, take us through the beginning days of Worden Watch and how it started as that concept and turned into a reality.
So I'll kind of pick up where I left off with my intro. So I think that's actually a really good way of doing it. So I was in Ottawa. Carleton, the university I went to, was there, and I decided to live there after. But it was actually kind of a tough time in my life, especially this was COVID. It's like 2021, 2022. Just not much of a community I didn't have there. I was pretty much relying on like two friends and a girlfriend. They're great people. But it just wasn't enough. It wasn't a community. I was working from home. And so, you get into a bit of a slump, right? But after a couple of months of just feeling a little sorry for myself, I thought, you know what? Like, this is the time. This is the time to tackle something that's big and that will give me hope. Hope for the future. Hope for some different sort of reality than what I was experiencing there. And so it was early 2023 when I got serious. I'm like, this is the little watch thing I've been doodling and sketching on, and now we're gonna make some prototypes. We're gonna invest some real money. We're going to spend some real time, and it was fantastic. I started doing that on my evenings and my weekends, and eventually I kept doing that until I decided I need to move. I need to move home. I need to move back to Guelph, back to my community, and I decided like Guelph is now going to be my spot. It's my hometown. And when I moved back here, I just kind of like gently told people, oh, yeah, like I'm making watches. And then people, what? I got such an incredible reaction from people because I didn't have anyone to give me feedback there except the 3 people I mentioned. And then I'm getting like 10, 12 people saying, this is amazing. Like you should keep doing it. I can't wait. And then I was like, okay, let's go. This is getting serious about this, like super serious about this. And so that was spring 2023. And and that was when I decided for myself, I'm like, we're going to make a stainless steel version of the prototype. And that's a real watch in my mind. Like I made plastic ones, I made aluminum ones, but stainless steel, 316L stainless steel, that's what the big dogs use. That's what Audemars Piguet uses in their $100,000 watches. And so I made one with that, and it worked. I could not believe my luck, skill. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but it all came together. They came together in total time, and it worked. And and then I decided, you know what? If I can make one, I can make 2.
Yes.
And so I made another one, and that one that one sold. That one I sold to Stefano.
Let's go at the farmer's market. Okay, yeah.
Stefano Cavagnolo. That's when I sold to him. And so and then now I've sold 3. I got a 4th one that's like in the process of being sold. You put a deposit down for one, and I'm so excited and so stoked to be at the point where like I have a design that I can repeatedly make a functional watch, right?
I relate so much to that feeling of at like one point in time with FTI having 2 or 3 people that will be there and tell you like they like what you're doing, but you can only hear the same like feedback from the same people till you think it's like a bubbled feedback. So for you to come back to Guelph, experience like as you mentioned like 10, 12 people giving it, just that sense of community that puts the spark under your ass and you're like, oh my God, I will, and I want to do this. Because if the 2 people, the 3 people in Ottawa loved it, okay, maybe they were just waiting for me to get the answer from all my other friends that were hours away online through social media, through Guelph. From the time told on your wrist to the time spent with friends, a key factor in any brand is finding that support circle of friends that push you, that support you, but also inspire you. You and I, as we mentioned with Stefano, are very fortunate, and I cannot emphasize how fortunate we are to know of just so many incredible people in Guelph, Southern Ontario, online through the connections you and I have made as well. Not only do they create such incredible music, visual art, content, but the way they reciprocate the love for what they create into what you create into what I create is remarkable. And sometimes I don't believe it's actually happening. How does the love and support from close ones push Worden Watch further? Would you say that's a big driving force behind what you do? Or was it kind of just the beginning and then from there you kind of just took it your own way?
No, it was absolutely pivotal, Matt. When I came back here and the people were whoa, no way. And I actually specifically remember this like nice memory. There's a friend of ours named Alexis. We were in the car, and she has her photography business. And I was just asking her questions about it. And then she said, and what about your business? How's it going? And that was the first time anyone had said your business. And I thought, yeah, you know what? And at that point, I hadn't sold anything yet, right? I just had that one prototype, the stainless steel one. But it got me thinking, I'm like, yeah, like she can do it. And I got Hunter and Alex and Excuse Me guys, and they're all putting out great things, putting out amazing albums and working towards building their art. So I got business and I got art flanking me on both sides, right? And then I'm like, you know what? I have all the support that I need to make my watch company. And so it was that belief in me before I had even sold anything. It just picked me up and it just gave me like this speed boost, like in Mario Kart or something. Next thing you know, I'm off and I'm in December and I've sold my first watch to Stefano, and it was incredible.
Whoa, look at this. I'm a mid-roll ad. Hi, my name is Artie the Gamer, and I am formally inviting you to my affiliate anniversary starting March 2nd over on twitch.tv/Arnie the Gamer. We would love to have you. I don't know what the plan is yet, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, and you can count on that. Sorry to interrupt your podcast. I will let you get back to it. Thanks for listening. Okay, bye!
Being there to witness that, literally a booth over, was so cool. Danielle thought that was also the coolest thing because it was just like, I knew, well, I'll say, I think I knew how you felt because I always enjoy watching others' art resonate with someone else. For example, to put that in a lot easier terms, when I did the autumn or the Halloween farmers market at the punk rock flea market at the same venue, Couch Apparel was my vendor neighbor, and I've been following Couch for years, and I've always just loved Couch so much. So to see the way Couch would resonate with like people walking by and the conversations he was having, it was like I was living through Couch because I was giddy, I was smiling, and I'm not even a part of the conversation. I'm just seeing it. So 2 months later, seeing you and Stefano have that exact same experience where he puts a Worden watch on, I can only imagine how it must have felt for you as not only a business owner, but you're literally giving somebody your creation and they're putting it on and they wear it every single day. So not only do they have a Worden watch on them, they literally have you with them every single day because they believe in you and they believe in what you have going on as well.
Wow. Matt, those were such nice words. Absolutely. I'm humbled when people like are willing to, fork up their hard-earned money to not only support me, but receive a physical manifestation of my creative vision. And then on top of that, to put it on their wrist and wear it day after day after day and look at it up close and look at the time and maybe look at a compliment and they'll talk about it. Like it's almost like having like your favorite song on repeat. Like it's just such a nice feeling to have, and not only from my friends, but like now strangers are over social media are asking for my watches, and I'm just honored.
We had that one friend at Hunter's birthday party that you and I both met that night where you were in front of me, I was here, and he's literally like this at the watch and like asking you hundreds of questions about it. And again, it's one of those things. I'm on the sideline, but I'm watching you have this conversation and you're so passionate explaining to this guy we didn't know existed 5 minutes ago, all of a sudden in the Worden Watch world.
Yeah, Nir is wonderful. Love that guy. And an interesting thing, I'm not sure if you caught it during the conversation, but he said, "Wait, you're Worden Watch?"
Yes, yes.
I said, "Yeah, did I tell you about this?" And he's like, "No, I just saw you on social media." And then now we're seeing each other in person. That was mind blowing.
It's the power of social media, and it's definitely the power of all the mutual friends. In mid-January, you traveled to Toronto for the Toronto Interior Design Show, which is Toronto's premier showcase of new products, superstar designers, and more. It is truly a showcase that is meant for creators to not only be inspired, but to also network with other creatives. I bet you were in heaven watching all of these different products around you, talking to people, seeing what people had going on, and just seeing so many concepts that may never make it out of there, or if they do, it's such a more grander idea than the prototypes that you saw in person there. Talk about your visit to the show, especially as a creator. Like, what stood out?
Yeah. Coming there as a creative, especially in the world of watches, watches are an interior design, but I came there because I wanted some cross-pollination of ideas. I wanted to be inspired by the squishy, large, oversized couches and the smart home system where there's like a controller that's like this, that sparkles. It was all these sorts of weird offshoot sort of products and designs that I'm like, okay, maybe I can take that a little bit from there and this from here and incorporate it into my watch. But I was mostly there to see my friend who was from my industrial design program, and he had this lovely speaker system that he'd prototyped, and it was part of an exhibit with a bunch of other people who all had done prototypes as well. And so not only did I get to see the bigger displays and venues, booths, I guess you could call them, but I also got to meet some of my contemporaries, 20 to 30-year-olds who are making prototyping and making stuff happen in little products. And I just had a wonderful time.
Good. Was there any other watch companies or industries there as well? Like, did you see anything clothing?
So kind of like in an auxiliary way, there was a lot of watches there. There were a lot of nice watches on people's wrists. Interior designers know watches. And so a funny little story happened. I was there with my friend Jacob. He was the one I was talking about with the prototype. And we went to this one booth that had stainless steel pools. Kind of niche. It's like for like big apartments with like a rooftop patio. You can get this like stainless steel pool installed. And anyways, the owner said, "Nice watch" to me. And I love that. I love when people, like strangers, say "nice watch," because they don't know that it was me who designed it. All they know is that, that I like it enough to have bought it. And so, I say, thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot because this is my own watch. This is my own watch brand. And instantly his ears perked up. And he wasn't wearing a watch, but he told me that he's a watch guy. And he actually, I won't go into it, but he has a nice watch on order.
Let's go.
Yeah. And so we just started talking watches, and he loved it. And we was like, what kind of material is that? I say 316L. You obviously know, part of it's an industry standard. He said, our pools are 316L stainless steel. So we got a good laugh out of that. But we've been in touch since. And I sent him some sketches of some, I'll keep this under wraps too, but we've just been going back and forth a bit. And that's the thing about the social aspect of what I do, is you just never know when you're going to meet someone or make a connection or be able to talk about your watch or talk about where you're going or make a new customer, new friend, new person, like in the industry. So was it worth going into Toronto? Absolutely.
100%. 100%. I think that's what really makes FTI so cool for me, is exactly what you just said. Like, you never know who you'll meet. Like, it's just like those one-on-one connections you'll make with somebody, because I would consistently get taken over by the algorithm and the old FTI, but then I'd have those one-on-one conversations with someone who doesn't know who I am. I don't know who they are, but they're like, yeah, there's this thing that I'm a part of called FTI. And I'm like, I'm FTI. What's going on? so it's exactly those conversations that make absolutely every sleepless night, every prototype, every design, everything you do so worth it. Kind of loosely connecting that to what I want to talk about next. Although your thing is watches, that is your passion, that is what you create, there's definitely a lot of creators like Alexis who does the photography, Stefano who does the photography. You have your models like Hunter and Stefano, soon to be me. Is there people in other realms that you think could add to the Worden Watch identity? Like, whether it's promotion, whether it's like a subtle cameo in like a short film, a movie, a YouTube video, like, where do you want to see Worden Watch visibly in a different realm?
That's a great question. That's something I should really chew on, because it's that sort of cross-pollination that can really be something special. right? I'd love to see it on some more musicians' wrists, that's for sure. And this is kind of under wraps, but I'll share it for the viewers. My next theme, so this theme is the Via Negativa theme, but the next theme I'm doing is called Bubblegum. And what I want to kind of have like a juxtaposition is this like fruity bubblegum sort of candy aesthetic, but then it's mixed with this like gritty graffiti street style aesthetic. And they're going to kind of mesh, and we'll see where it lands in the middle. So when you said like what other kind of sort of artistic genres do I want to see like incorporated more into the watch? Well, I'm looking for a graffiti person, right? To maybe do some collaboration with, just even pick their brain, which would be great. And moving forward, when I do these other themes, like I can be pulling in any sort of person to kind of complement my theme, right? Like let's say I made like an outdoors watch. Well, I go and I connect with someone who's really into outdoors, hiking and camping and whatever. And they can help give me feedback on how to make this a great theme, or what kind of colors should I use, or just this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I could tell you right then and there, if there is ever an alpine green Worden Watch strap, it will be paired with my Worden Watch right away. Connecting to the graffiti before it slips my mind, Dylan Lorman of Couch Apparel, Blonde Boy. I will tell you right now, that is your guy for that. And I hope to look back on this podcast like a month later, 2 months later, to see if you and Dylan connected, because he is a creative genius and he's definitely dabbled in the world of not only graffiti for like advertising, but he also did spray paints on plaid button ups, like upcycled one up. So Blonde Boy, Dylan Lorman, Couch Apparel, that will be the man to take your vision to the next level. With the bubblegum theme, with everything that you've created up until now, from concepts to reality to future plans, the word that it brings up to me as well is vulnerability. It has been a common question I ask everybody because I love hearing the different perspectives of vulnerability as a creator, owning a brand, making music. How does vulnerability play into the Worden Watch, or how does vulnerability in Tyler Worden play into how you take on your next idea, how you take on your next prototype?
Yeah, vulnerability, it's huge. And how I like to go about the watch company and what I'm doing is authenticity.
Yes.
I want it to be an exact representation of me being put out into the world. I don't want to compromise it to seem more professional or seem more palatable or what have you. And so because it's so connected to me and Tyler's authenticity, that comes vulnerability. And so only certain people saw this, but I posted this close friends story to my Instagram, and I just kind of talked about, well, really what I explained earlier in this podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast, you got the inside scoop now about the hard times I was having when I first started my watch company. And there's nothing to be ashamed of being vulnerable, because it's just you, right? And the way I see it is, if I'm myself and I'm being authentic and I'm being vulnerable, then that gives the people around me permission to be themselves and to be vulnerable. And even if they only get halfway there because I opened up and I was vulnerable and I was authentic, well, that's still very good.
Yes.
And so that's how vulnerability plays into Worden Watch.
And it's such a win-win for both sides, like you and the people you're connecting with. And a personal story about it that to share with everyone listening, the relaunch concert was the first time you and I actually met in person. And I think everybody in that little green room knows it looked like you and I knew each other for years. We connected, we talked, we laughed, we caught up like we were old buddies. And then you're like, I got something in my bag for you. You pull out that, I put it on, and all night I'm wearing the Worden Watch hat. But I'm always looking for you in the front row because you quickly, just like Danielle, just like Derek and Aiden and Dylan Lorman, you became one of those people where I could look at, ease my nerves, and go like, I can portray myself to be just authentic and just like open because I'm in a room full of people who want to see that, but they're also bringing that too. Yeah, like as I just hear, I really thought the cool thing is going from talking for like 2 months on Instagram to in person. It was just that instant connection. It was instant.
Absolutely. A friend of mine, a friend of a friend is a friend of mine, and
yes,
I just knew like right off the bat, Matt, that we're gonna get along so well, and I really appreciate all that nice stuff he said about making me feel at ease and feeling comfortable. It's such a high compliment.
I even on Friday when we were playing pool, like I walked in, you're wearing the FTI shirt. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta turn around. My face is red. And that
I didn't know that.
Oh man, I was just like, cause like to me, how I just view it is just like every day. How can I help someone do what they want to do? But then like when it just like silently and without even that person knowing, like they're giving me the highest compliment by wearing an FTI shirt in public, by sharing something on a story. I'm just like we're really in it together. And like this is still only like the beginning of what's to come with both of us as creators, both of us as friends, and just tackling not only the rest of 2025, but the rest of every endeavor we have. I think the generic thing is creating a bucket list, but I think, and you would agree with this statement, you don't need to wait for a certain day on a calendar to achieve what you want to achieve. You just kind of either get the inspiration or you just got to do it. What is on your bucket list or what do you want to accomplish this year? These can be both like personal goals and artistic goals.
This year's going to be a big year, Matt.
Yes.
2025 is going to be a big, big year because I have a goal. And I'm going to put this out here. I told people, but I haven't made it online public yet. But my goal is by the end of the year, I want to be selling on average 6 watches per month.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And the reason is because if I can sell 6 watches per month, I think that I can sustain that for the next few years. Like my expenses and my income will like be break even. And so that's 12 months. 12 months to be selling 6 watches per month. And you take that and then you kind of trickle that back. Like, how am I going to make that work? Right. And so I'm going to be doing watch trade shows, like setting up a booth at watch trade shows. I'm going to be meeting up with people in other places. I'm going to have my watch featured on these like watch websites. I'm going to get into publications, all these things to achieve that goal of selling at least 6 watches on average by the end of the year.
And that's only like that's only the idea. But if you do 6 watches for like 3 months and that's 18 people wearing it, that number can easily be like 12 to 15 per month. And then it can just exponentially grow and by the time you know it, your 2-year plan turned into a year plan. And now that you've been so kind into sharing a lot of things while keeping things under wraps, I will let you know that Worden Watch has a booth at an FTI event between the months of April and June. I can't say it because it's not confirmed. All I can really confirm is there's going to be another relaunch-esque type idea coming up. So Worden Watch will be there for the entire FTI community and for Guelph to also check out.
That's wonderful. That would be so much fun to be around all these other people in the FTI community and to meet new people. Matt, thank you for organizing that. And
Let's do it.
And including me. I'm honored.
I remember one of the first conversations we had was like, hey, at relaunch, like I'm gonna have vendor booths, and you're like, yeah, like when it's time to go and like these are like being sold, I'm gonna have booths, and I'm like, all right, top of the list. I know where to put you. The punk rock flea market FTI. There's so many. To end the conversation, I'm gonna hit you with 3 rapid questions. If you've heard Hunters, you know what I'm about to ask, but I'm just a sucker for these 3 questions. 1, what is your go-to anthem right now?
Candy by Doja Cat.
Okay, yes, all right. Soup and I listen to Doja Cat at work. I am a Doja. I'm starting to become a Doja Cat fan. That's a fantastic one. The next question is, name an artist or a collective that you would recommend the FTI community to check out. They don't have to be in the FTI community like circle. It can be just absolutely anybody from your world.
Well, we were talking about Animal Boy, and if anyone hasn't checked out Animal Boy, they're really making strides these days. So definitely keep an eye on them because they're like, I don't really have much of a taste for punk rock, but what they are putting out is approachable. So if anyone's like on the fence about punk rock, check them out.
Agreed. I have seen Animal Boy 5 or 6 times within a 12-month span, and I think that Mo, Marty, and Tommy and can always count on me to be at the front. Because if I know Bug Trap is on that bill, I know I'm screaming, bro. It is a Animal Boy. Excuse me. Those 2 are making huge strides. And the final question, the hardest one for a few people, plug yourself. Let us know who you are, where we can find you, what's coming up, and anything that they need to know after they end this podcast.
Okay. My Instagram handle is Worden.watch with an O, WORDEN. Website is www.worden.watch. Love that URL. And my DMs are open on my my watch account. So anyone, feel free to message me. I respond to everyone. I'd be happy to yap about watches, just yap about anything. Just hit me up. Love a fun time. We'll talk. And that's incredible. That's where I'm at.
And this wraps a bow on the absolute stellar week we just had celebrating Tyler, celebrating Worden Watches. FTI community, if all goes well, this has been posted on Valentine's Day. So I hope everybody has one fantastic Valentine's Day. It suits the theme, Hearts with Worden Watch, Hearts with Valentine's Day. Everybody go enjoy a nice steak dinner with your significant other, or if it's just you, go treat yourself, go buy yourself something nice. You deserve it. Maybe put your order in for a Worden Watch. I can't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you to do that. FTI community, we'll catch you next week. See you later.
Bye, Matt.